What's happening? What's crapping in? Let's do the social media. Oh, there we are. What's up, peeps? What's up? I think that's good. I think that's good. All right. What's up, Sanguise? We're sitting down with you soon, too. Definitely, we got to hang out with you guys. We're going to fucking get some stories and what this Sanguise is all about. Fucking Agathocles. Agathocles or Agathocles? Yeah, I guess you take your pick. What's up, guys? Good, Stefan. What's up, bud? Rodrigo. Samuel. You better fucking remember Agathocles. What the hell? Dude, those guys are a staple just as much as fucking any other death metal band. Yo, what's up, Joe? Mr. Poopo's got to watch. Because his name's going to be name dropped there a couple times. So let's hang out for a bit. Ready to give her. They have a huge discography. Huge. What's up, Frank? Anybody on there who sees the name Frank on there? Actually got him right in the back. Frank was the drummer in this London, Ontario death metal band, Flesh Feast. What up, Frank? Track this down, man. Fate of Hated Flesh demo, so good. And I've seen you guys play live too, I believe. You played with, I don't know if it was the Deeds of Flesh, one of those bloodletting tours at the Cathedral. Yeah, Paul John, that was the tour that we were talking about. It was Sinister, Cynic, Obituary, right? Yep. Yeah, I seen him in Buffalo at the Blind Melons. Totally. What's up, Dan? No. Yeah, Sinister Cynic was Cannibal. Alright. The Obituary was Fear Factory. That's it. That's it. Yes. Obituary, Malevolent, Cannibal, Agnostic Front. That's right. I got the flyer somewhere, too. Not in here. Not in here. Flesh Feasts through Ablated back in the day? That's cool. Frank, if you're listening, we got the Ohio boys up on the Flesh Feast. Fucking A, man. Yeah, both of those tours. That was 92, eh? Fuck. Yeah, the End Complete. That was the tour that I seen at least. Sinister, yes indeed. Yeah, Morbid Mario's supposed to be chiming in here there too, Joe. Thanks, Joanne. Love these guys. Oh, wow. So we got a special treat with Sinister back then. That's cool. Yeah, the real Incubus. You know. Hope everybody's doing good. What's up, Jack? What's up, Jack? Hope everyone's doing good out there today. Just hanging out, watching some old footage. That's all. That's kind of what we do here. That's what us old folks like to do, is reflect. Reflect. What's up, Oscar? What's up, fellas? Buddy, Little River Band, Reminiscing, one of my favorite songs ever. Ever. I can recite that song front to back. I fucking love that song. The Metal Brotherhood never dies. No, it doesn't. What's up, Metal Dan? Did you come with me? Did you come with me to that? We went to the Blind Melon show. I think, yeah, that wasn't that you with me? Or was that just Doucette? Yeah, Sinister, eh? That's fucking awesome. But they got a new album coming out, what is it, on Massacre Records on the 19th of June. They have a new album coming out. I just got the email with the tracks, so I gotta check that out. I still haven't listened to it yet. Are you into new Sinister? They've evolved, right? I'm not saying in a bad way at all. That they've evolved, though, from the early sounds to now. And I'm not sure I like the vocals as much anymore. That's just me. Ended up re-catching them again because they played last year at Quebec Death Fest, and their shit's, it's like brutal death metal now. It's not just death metal anymore, it's brutal death metal. His vocals are, they're fucking deadly. They're pretty deadly. Hi, Phil. Mr. Phil Pattison, Rabid Dog Films hanging out. Go kiss a moose, Phil. Go kiss a moose. But yeah, they got a new album coming out on the, like I said, June 19th. Massacre Records. That's their 14th album. That's intense. So they just haven't stopped. So yeah, man, and what is it? The other one, Merciless from France. They got a new album coming out too on Xenocore, July 7th, and they've been around since like '87 themselves, which is unbelievable. Actually, that's fucking awesome. But yeah, they got a new album coming out, man, and the song, I don't know, I dig the song. I totally dig the new stuff. So yeah, there's some new shit coming out. It's cool to see. It's cool to see. But yeah, Agathocles, man. Huge fan, man. I've loved them ever since, what is it? I heard them on this Slap-a-Ham Records Blah compilation. They had the tune, where is it here? Lay Off Me. Fucking love the song, man. It's just, it's so good. So they got me on this, and I was an instant fan right away, and it was cool because Jan, he was one of those guys that just wrote back all the time, man, and I bought some shit off him back in the day too. Did I bring it down? Nope, it's upstairs still. Damn, I thought I brought it down. That's not fair. But yeah, man, I was a huge Agathocles guy. Thanks for Your Hostility. That's a good album back in the mid '90s. And oh, where is it? Sorry, yeah. Thanks for Your Hostility. But this album here, theatric symbolization of life. During these recordings, they almost did the death metal sound, whereas Napalm went from the grindcore to the death metal sound. These guys ended up kind of doing the same too during this era, 92, 93 and all that. 90, not 91, yeah, 92, 93. Man, I totally dig this shit though. The longer songs, because a lot of, I mean, they're known as mincecore, right? But I mean, it's just grindcore pretty much, right? But yeah, they had an era where they kind of did a little more death metal-y stuff, and I thought it was fucking awesome. I like all their shit personally, but I got this shirt when they finally came around and did a tour. What was that, 2 years ago? 2018. They came around, Jan and the boys came around and did a tour. I think they did a bunch of state stuff, and then they ended up doing Canada. So they did like Ottawa, Toronto, Hamilton, and Guelph, and it was weird. I don't know, whoever put the tour on, booked them kind of back and forth. It almost made no sense. But I'm gonna say this album here, Mincing in the Maples. This was put out by Inanimate Records 2 years ago, just after the tour. Because when I heard that Agathicals were coming around, Brian Pattison, bring his name up again, Mr. Glorious Times. If you don't know the Glorious Times book, 87 to 91, I believe it is. It's upstairs. And the Day of Death, the original Day of Deaths from Buffalo, he's the man that fucking put all that shit on. But I think we both contacted each other at the same time and was like, Gathicals is coming, bam. Okay, let's figure out, where they are. Let's go. So first date that we were able to go to was the Toronto. So he picked me up. We went there. It was at the, oh my gosh, it's closed down now too. Fuck. So they played in Toronto. Awesome show. So Brian and I, we finally sit down, meet Jan. I mean, I've been pen paling with him since like 92, 93. Brian, was pen paling him, I think, since like 89, 90 kind of thing. So just old school fan. I fucking love Agathicals. So it was awesome, man. And he knew that we were coming to meet him too, because he's like, oh, Cam from Niagara Falls, Brian from Niagara Falls almost too, right? From Buffalo. So it was awesome. We hung out, we chatted and reminisced and about the old times and blah, blah, blah. So Brian ended up bringing, but he made an arrangement with Jan of Agathicals to record the show live on an old school tape player that you would get from school. One of those, those big fucking clunky, put the tape in, put it down, press record with a microphone and stuff like that, right? From school. So he brought one of those tape players. I believe it was one of those tape players. He brought it there, recorded the show. It turned out unbelievable, right? It was fucking awesome. We ended up checking out some tunes afterwards. Great. And we ended up seeing him again in Hamilton. And by that time, they had already started bouncing back and forth and everything. And so we caught him in Hamilton. It was kind of a short set. They're getting tired. They're fucking driving. It's a lot. Touring's a lot. And it was awesome to meet them, see them twice, hang out with them twice, and, connect. It's because, I mean, when the frig are you ever going to see these guys come around tour again? And so, obviously, Brian ended up reaching out, or Jan, the two of them reaching out to, labels, which I'm assuming Jan was the mastermind behind it all, but Animate Records ended up putting out Brian's live recording on vinyl, and it's unbelievable. It sounds so good. And what's so cool is, they go in here, Jan goes on about he goes on about just the tour and Canada and all that kind of stuff. So there's like a big write-up, little bio, little tour bio of hanging out with Brian and Cam on Cam and this or whatever like that. But man, it was such an honor, and just it felt good to finally connect with them. And Jan being who he is, you know, remembers us from even back in the day too, because I mean, I don't think anybody else from Niagara Falls, Ontario was really writing to him back in the early 90s, and it was just fucking awesome, man. So Gathicals, they hold a huge part of my of the scene and everything like that. So that was freaking awesome, man. That was good shit. So yeah, the splits they put out, it's between them and Nunslaughter pretty much, right? That's just kind of how it works. So good. All right, so let's get over here. Let's see if Ed's around. Enough of the Agathocles chatting. Actually, I could chat about those guys for a long time because they fucking rip. Is he around? Is he gonna answer? No answer. That's hilarious. Nope. Nope. Let's try this again. Maybe just missed. Just missed. He's trying. Let's turn this down for a sec. He's saying FaceTime worked the other night. Hey, you know, these things happen, man. That's all. Technology sometimes, eh? Hey. There we go. That's all. You just needed to call me.
I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
How are you, brother?
I'm good, man. Thank you so much for this. This is cool.
Yeah, man, we got to connect somehow. I mean, a lot of us, I mean, we've been friends for Facebook and just, you know, doing whatever we do all on the side. But it's kind of, I guess, unfortunately, we have this time where we're unfortunately not able to physically meet each other. But I just felt that it was time that we might as well stay connected somehow and keep the connection and the stories going during all this bullshit that we're going through.
Yeah, that's very cool, dude. What you're doing is great.
Well, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
I did a few really cool stuff. I watched Friends the other day.
Well, he lives right around the corner from you, or close to you, right?
Yeah, no, well, he lives in Brooklyn, and he's done a bunch of my shows.
Yeah,
So
because
he's on sound there, so we've gotten to be pretty good friends.
right on. Well, Fred, talking obviously Fred of Dismember there, doing the sound and production for a lot of these shows and everything within the clubs in New York and Brooklyn and all that kind of shit. So he's obviously worked with you a few times.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully again soon once clubs start reopening.
Oh, and that's the thing too, right? I seen Matt Harvey. He posted something just about the state of bands and shows and productions and TV and just everything like that. And I mean, I already knew that anyways because I'm a stagehand myself. But just to have that thrown at us again, like we're obviously trying to think positive, think forward. This isn't going to last long because I mean the state of all this shit is really screwing a lot of stuff up. So,
Yeah.
Him posting that was just like, oh man, like I don't need the industry to reaffirm that it's not going to happen until 2021 or whatever like that. Like
I know.
and you and yourself, you had a bunch of shows all lined up too, correct?
Yeah. I had Possessed in March. I had Massacre in April, and my Rage of Armageddon 6 Fest that was scheduled for September. So all of which are postponed indefinitely until things come around again.
Oh my gosh. And there was
That's rough.
And did that Convulse show end up happening too?
Oh yeah, that was last year. That was before any of this happened.
Oh, okay, never mind. All right.
Actually my last show was Monstrosity.
Right.
Which was basically just about a sellout. It was an amazing night at St. Vitus. It was a great time.
Oh,
That was my last show and last show I've been to.
right, yeah. Well, especially Monstrosity, though. I mean, they're one of those bands that just don't tour that often.
No, they don't. That's why I brought them up special for the show.
Holy cow, that's fantastic. So, everybody that's tuning in right now, this is, how do you pronounce it? Farshti?
Farshti.
Farshti.
Yep, you got it.
It's Ed Farshti, and you're from New York, and this man has been around the block within the underground scene for, I would say, a little longer than probably any of us watching right now. How old are you, sir?
51.
51. When did you get your hands into the underground? When did that start happening?
1983.
All right.
Yeah.
What brought you into that era? I'm assuming, like, I mean, pretty much everybody's story is usually like, I loved Maiden, I loved Priest, I loved Deep Purple, I loved all that kind of stuff. And then when did you, I guess it was pretty much for you early, that it was probably when you first heard Venom, Celtic Frost, and all that kind of shit was just like, holy crap, everything's starting to change now.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Definitely, started with the metal, AC/DC, Sabbath, Priest, Maiden. Then went into like Accept and Scorpions and Crocus and obscure metal bands. And then I discovered, Kill 'Em All, Show No Mercy, black metal, and that was it from there. Just instantly fell in love with it. By the end of 1983, I was already writing bands and ordering demos. So I loved it right away.
So did you get into the whole zine scene that back then also? Is that what kind of got you going into writing bands and everything?
Yeah, absolutely. Once I, started reading about these bands, first in the major magazines, like Hit Parade would have a little section and stuff, and little ads here and there. And so then I started reading about the bands, and then I started picking up, whatever kind of international magazines or fanzines I could get a hold of from record stores around here, discovering all the different bands, and that's when I started writing. First bands I ever ordered demos from were Overkill, Nasty Savage, Attacker, and Hyrax. And they sent me all demos. I bought t-shirts from half of them at the time, and still friends with them too. So it's great.
God damn. So were you were writing to them through the releases or through like how did you end up tracking them down?
I read an ad. Basically, I read an ad in a magazine. I mean, there wasn't too many magazines back then that would show ads from like Attacker or Overkill and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Maybe a little blurb in Hit Parade or something like that, or some of the international magazines like Krang I was starting to get. But man, I basically read the ad. It interested me, and that was it. I sort of wrote those are one of the first 4 bands I wrote to, and then from there I just started writing a whole bunch from there.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, like you said, there wasn't many ads for the the unknown bands, and especially at that time was high, like you said, Hyrax and all that kind of stuff, right? So getting into them, then obviously since they were rooted in the underground, they started sending back your flyers and some other stuff too, which I'm assuming in turn just kind of obviously just blew up, and then that was it.
Yeah, well, that was well, once I got into tape trading, that was all. Everybody sent flyers to one another, and that was the way the underground got supported, and everyone's ads got out.
Yeah, totally. So you then got involved quickly, like you said. You started writing bands and getting the demos and stuff. You ended up doing your own zine also.
Yeah. I started in 1985. Me and my friend Mark Sokol started the Book of Armageddon. And put out 4 issues throughout well, Mark only did the first issue, and I continued from there. And I put out 4 issues in the 80s.
God damn. And obviously within the underground, like especially at that time, there wasn't there was a lot of zines, but not really.
Yeah, not really. No, there was only a handful of zines, some international, and they paved the way for what me and Mark were interested in doing and getting all. We realized, there were ways to get a hold of the bands that we loved, and just to talk to them and ask them questions. A lot of the bands we'd have to write to, like Celtic Frost, we send them a letter in the mail. 6-8 months later, we get a response, but that would be the interview.
Yeah, no, and literally the same thing. I mean, I didn't start a zine till I think it was 91 or 92. I started writing, but exactly the same thing. It was you'd write your questions and send it to them. Hopefully, they'd be cool with just sending them back. And like you said, it could be 6 months later, 8 months later. You never do.
Yep, exactly.
So you ended up doing 4 issues, and at that time, I mean, trying to source out, I guess, printers and artists and all that kind of stuff was a little harder back then because it wasn't a massive scene back then at that time.
Yeah, no, there was. I Xeroxed the first 3 issues. My dad's printer at work at his job. It was just total, do it yourself. Cut and paste everything. Typed it all myself, my computer. My typewriter.
Typewriter.
All the computer. So the printer had it professionally done. Even the third one, I had the pictures scanned, but I still just Xeroxed it myself because I had no money. I wasn't getting it printed.
No, totally. So you would end up using like the flyers that you would get, and then you would transcribe the interviews, cut and paste, glue it, go to your, like you said, go to your dad's Xerox, print as much as you could off. How many issues did you end up putting out?
The first 2 issues, probably maybe like 300 to 500. The 4th issue I printed up 1,000 professionally for that.
Wow. 300 to 400 for your first issue. That's pretty big. I think I put out maybe 200 myself.
Yeah, it took us maybe 6 months. We kept making more copies. Kept going to my dad's shop. There's me and Mark. We kept going to shows and selling them at shows and going to record stores.
And just handing them out, distributing, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Oh, totally.
So the first issue sitting outside Lemoore waiting for some band.
Right on. So I think I read that you did an issue a year?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, because the last issue came out in 89. So it was 85, 6, 7, 8. And then 89 was my last issue.
Right on. Why did you stop doing the zine?
Honestly, I have a 5th issue already. The interview started getting old, and I really didn't have time to finish it and put it out. And then I started working at Roadrunner, and then I had no time whatsoever to really devote to it.
Working at Roadrunner? What's going on there?
Yes, well, I first started because I knew a couple of people that worked there, including Monty, Sophie, who did the magazines and fanzines. Excuse me. So they had been in touch with me for a while. I had even worked with them a few times, like when Sepultura came here for the country for the first time. Monty asked me to put them up. So I had two of the guys stay at one friend's house, and two of the guys stay at another friend's house. And we just hung out with the guys for 2 weeks until they went on tour, and then drove to the first 3 nights of the tour, even before Roadrunner finally started taking care of them.
Oh, shit.
So after all that, then Roadrunner needed a new fanzine intern. So they reached out to me, and I grabbed that shit right away. Oh. And interned for about 4 or 5 months, and then they hired me. Started working in press, then working in retail, and I worked there about 2.5 years.
Wow. No shit. And that was obviously during the rise of Roadrunner with death metal and everything.
Oh yeah, those were the glorious death metal days indeed. So I was there for all that. That's why they brought me in. They knew what I knew. I knew half the bands on the roster personally before even working there. So I knew I was, they hired a few of us. Some of the people lasted, some of them didn't. Once they dropped the death metal, they let go of me too. I understand. I didn't really fit then, but I worked there the absolute ultimate time, and I had a great time doing it.
Holy shit, eh? Yeah, especially during those times too, because I mean those are the quintessential albums that pretty much death metal is known for now. So was it?
I was involved with it.
Yeah. So was it you that? So exactly what you did was send requests from, or just get the requests from other zines and stuff? Is that what you did?
We have Roadrunner.
Yeah.
Well, that's when I first started. They had me just working the fanzines when I was interning, which basically meant I just contacted every fanzine in the country, and trying to get Roadrunner bands on there.
Yep.
Interviews, articles, reviews, blah blah blah, send them promos, all that. And then when they hired me into the press department. So I dealt with magazines, newspapers, small syndications, and fanzines and all that. Then I became the main press guy for about 2 months, so they hired a real professional guy. Then I went over to retail. I worked retail for the last year. Again, contacting every store in the country to try and get displays up, get the records in stores, and just, basically just networking the Roadrunner releases. And it was still, I spent all my days just on the phone, basically talking to, at one time, press agents, fanzine writers, and then retail stores. So it was cool. All good people I was talking to.
Holy shit. So everybody out there who noticed Roadrunner back in the 90s, early 90s, and throwing the death metal releases in record stores and everything like that, you were the guy in charge of all that.
Well, not in charge of it, but I basically was handling my areas. Monty signed the bands and all that. But as far as like getting press and then getting retail stuff,
yeah,
but yeah, that was absolutely amazing. And I'm promoting bands I love, like Malevolent Creation, Sepultura, and Obituary. Can't beat that.
Oh my god! And obviously, like you said, you're already friends with half of them, anyways, already.
Oh yeah, Immolate, Suffocation, Sorrow. Malevolent Creation. I've been friends with them since their first demos. Much less long before they got signed.
Right. Well, yeah, because you've already been by that time you've already been doing a zine for like 5 years already.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, being friends with a lot of those bands in the early Roadrunner days, I'm assuming you already had the demos and everything that a lot of those guys were already starting to circulate in the the later 80s before they got signed and all that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Jesus, like Executioner and fucking Sadist has been around forever and all that kind of like.
Yeah. Yep.
God damn. So you said Monty signed them.
Right.
Was it on like he signed them personally, or did he have like you in the background kind of going, you should check them out or check them out?
Yeah, he always listened to, we always gave him, little, pushing him this and that. I was always trying to push bands like Primeval and Deceased on him, and he wasn't going for it. But like, me and Mark Abramson, Psycho, we kind of really pushed to try and get, like Suffocation and Sorrow. And Monty was into them. And we'd give him a little push, for support. We're like, yeah, we agree. And, we definitely listened to that. But it was always his call. And he had a great ear for bands. Every band he signed was phenomenal at the time. And there's still great bands. He's still signing good bands still. So he was the best at that, I must say.
God damn, yeah, especially for that era too. I mean, Suffocation for me personally, Effigy of Forgotten, I think is one of the greatest death metal albums like alive.
Yeah, oh yeah, they were fucking great band back then too.
Well, and again, they were pushing the limits to just you know, what defines now as brutal death metal, I guess, they kind of started that.
They were one of the originators, especially around this area. You know, there were a couple bands before them, you know, that they, you know, basically, you know, borrowed their sound and enhanced on it, but they just grew the whole Long Island scene out of nowhere, and it was all them, and they're a phenomenal band and really fucking great guys too. Cool as hell, always have been. Terrence is still one of my good friends, and just I love seeing that guy.
Yeah, honestly, man, that guy just won't stop riffing. Personally,
No.
unbelievable. So during your stint at Roadrunner, was it before that you had your own little label thing going on in the background?
No, actually, we started that near the end of my Roadrunner days. Me and Joe started that. He was working at, me and Joe Pupo. He was working at Atlantic. I was working at Roadrunner. We were really great friends. Did road trips all together, hung out, you know, great friends, did everything together, going to shows and all. And we basically wanted to do, we both had fanzines. He did the Rage of Violence. I was going to say Rage of Armageddon, but that's me. He was Rage of Violence. I was Book of Armageddon. So, you know, we had these things in common, and we both wanted to start a label because basically we had done the fanzines and we wanted to kind of progress to the next level of getting involved. So we both wanted to, you know, and neither one of us really wanted to jump on our own and really get in, so we decided to become partners. And we were both, you know, using our contacts from both our record labels, you know, the jobs we were doing there. Hell, I had retail and press, all kinds of contacts around the country, so I was able to get our severed into a lot of places. So basically, we reached out to all our people, used our influences with our labels, and was able to start Rage Records. And then, you know, I would say by the second release, I was already out of Roadrunner and just kept on Rage Records for a few years.
God damn. So what was the first release on Rage Records?
That would be Ex Mortis from Maryland.
Yes. That was the, is that the red cover one? Is that what that is?
No, that's the, it's a black cover with like little blue in it. Actually, hold on, I can show you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, even better. That's much easier. Let's go to the dungeon.
Can you see that?
Oh, yeah. There. Turn it around. Yeah, let's see. There it is. Okay. Fade from Reality.
Right.
Yeah, okay. So that was the first Rage Records?
Yeah, that was the first one. And the second one was Primeval. Is that on there?
A little bit. Other way.
Okay.
There we go. Okay, yeah. There we are.
And Burial.
Oh, yeah. Was that's Florida Burial, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the third release. Then Revenant.
God damn.
And Revenant was the last one that me and Joe did together. And the next one was Infernal Hierarchy, also known as False Prophet, but they had to change their name at that time.
Ah.
And then I did a split 7-inch with Numbskull and Sea of Tranquility.
Yeah.
And then I did the Epidemic 7-inch with Metal Blade Records. That was a co-release with them, which was very cool.
God damn.
And my last release was the Nocturnal 7-inch.
Oh, New Jersey boys.
Yeah.
Oh, Tom Stevens, man. Nobody gives Tom Stevens enough credit for what he's done for death metal also, especially with his older band, Savage Death.
You're absolutely right. Both phenomenal bands, and he's a great fucking guy.
Honestly, like I did some workings with him for a while back, about 8, 9 years ago, when he was doing the when he had his last release out. Oh shit, what was that called? Fuck. Anyways,
I'm not gonna know the name of it, but I have it. I know what you mean.
Yeah, just the black cover with like the name of the album on the bottom. Yeah, great album. But you know, doing the research, you know, obviously I wanted to connect with Nocturnal just because they were on JL America originally. That was one of their releases. But then doing more research again, I was like, Tom Stevens, You know, I gotta figure who this guy out is. And then you look back, and then it was like Savage Death, and that was like 86, 87 out of New Jersey.
Yeah. Yep, 86 that started.
Yeah. And that's and like I said, people don't give him enough credit, because if you go listen to Savage Death, like that's fucking forefront, almost extreme metal at that time too. It literally is.
Yeah, no, definitely one of the early extreme bands, especially on the East Coast.
Yeah, big time. So that's awesome to see the Nocturnal. Was that 7-inch before the Jail America, or was that after?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was definitely before.
Ah, okay. So
actually, I'm not even sure now. The 7-inch came out in like 80,
okay,
90, like 95.
Okay, I think that was before that album then, yeah.
Yeah.
Or, no, after the album. That 7-inch came out after, because I believe that album on JL was, I think, 92. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure.
You're right. The album is definitely earlier.
Yeah. Very cool, though. So, obviously, trying to help out Nocturnal at that time, too, because, I mean, JL America, had their,
Yeah.
everybody was talking about them back in the day of not paying the bands.
Everybody over.
Yeah, pretty much fucked everybody over at the time. But, I mean, and still, unfortunately, from what they did, they still put a lot of bands on the map at that time, too.
Oh, no, they did. I mean, they signed a slew of really killer bands at that time, that, the top bands in their field. They knew what the hell they were doing. It's just a shame they screwed every one of them.
So is that what happened? They just ended up like making the albums and then kind of not even touching the bands after the albums came out?
Pretty much, yeah. They left almost all the bands hanging, and didn't pay them anything, didn't pay them what they were supposed to, or give them the promotional copies they were supposed to, different things. But they screwed everybody one way or another, as far as I know.
Wow, and that roster at those times.
Weird, I think.
Yeah. And the roster at those times too, were like those were the bands.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Holy shit! So, like you said, Rage Records went on. You guys put out a whole bunch of 7-inches and stuff. Joe wasn't with you the whole time.
Yeah, no, we did the first 4 releases, and then he wanted to get out of New York. So he ended up moving down to Florida. So we split the label in half. I decided to keep going. He stepped away, did his own personal things for a while, took care of things. And I kept the label going for a few years, kept the distro going for a few years, and did the next 4 releases myself. And it just kind of like winded down. I was getting married. I really wasn't that much in tune with the new bands coming out now. And by that time, there were so many other labels out with a billion things in their distro, and I just didn't have the time to keep up with it anymore, or the money, and I was just like, So I just kind of phased it out little by little, and just kind of dwindled down to a little box here and there that I probably still have.
Wow. Oh, you still have obviously some old stock, I'm assuming.
Oh, sure, yeah. I wouldn't throw anything away, fanzine, 7-inch, CD, no matter what, so I still got some leftover stuff in the distros that, when people come over, send them a little care package, I'll throw something in there, a little old CD or something, or a fanzine.
Whoa, nice. Yeah, because that's the thing, too. I mean, I personally moved a lot, so unfortunately, a little bit of a box would get left behind, or this box would be fucked up or whatever. I mean, that's awesome that you still have a lot of that old shit, because, I mean,
Yeah, I pretty much have like 90% of what I've had for the last 30 years. And I lost some stuff, but I still have most of it, which is cool.
Yeah. You mentioned that you ended up putting up Sepultura when they came around North America. Was that the first time they came around?
Yeah. Oh, they came here and did one more show in New York City. That was before this. But when they toured with Faith or Fear, there was the first U.S. tour. So they flew up here about 2 weeks before the tour started. And Monty didn't want to put them up in a hotel or anything. It cost too much money. Let's stick them with some fans. So we did. And funny thing, you mentioned Suffocation. That's when I met the guys in Suffocation. And this was about 6 months before Suffocation were Suffocation. It was Josh, Terrence, Jay, the original manager. Those 3 and me and my friends are the guys that picked up Sepultura from the airport. Drove them all to Queens to my 2 friends' houses, dropped them off, And then for the next 2 weeks, we all, the pre-Sepultura guys, and myself and my friends just hung out with Sepultura for 2 weeks. The pre-Suffocation guys, rather, just hung out with Sepultura for 2 weeks, taking them to radio interviews, hanging out with them. We took them to a Primeval rehearsal, took them to an Apparition rehearsal, and just having a great fucking time, just drinking in parks with them. So it was cool. And that's, 6 months later, the guys at Suffocation formed a band. And we all, became great friends after that.
Wow, no shit. So, were the guys in Suffocation in other bands before then?
Not really. Maybe like little local bands, but not really. They just kind of all clicked after that. They knew each other. And after that, they've probably been talking about it for a while, but nothing materialized until probably about 6 months later. Then they really started jamming and put a couple teams together.
No shit. So obviously, like you said, it was a blast hanging out with Sepultura. So that was, what was that? Just after
that was
the 89, 90?
Yeah, it was 89.
Yeah. Holy shit. So you brought them to New York and then just corrupted them.
Completely. Yeah. At one point, we took them up. Joe was probably in the car with me. Took them up to a Primeval rehearsal. And this was the middle of winter. My car was a piece of shit. I had no heat. So we had to leave the window open so the windows wouldn't defrost in a snowstorm driving upstate with the guys from fucking Brazil. And it was fucking hysterical. These guys are freezing. But we took them up to a Primeval rehearsal, got blasted up there, got drunk, got stoned, hung out with the guys, had a great time. We brought them home. The first night of the tour, Primeval opened for them up in Middletown. So it was just a great time.
God damn. And then, again, bringing up Primeval, they've been around since, 87 also, I believe?
Yeah. Well, they formed in 86. The first demo was 87.
Holy shit. And again, you were obviously friends because of obviously just the zines and everything like that.
Yes, actually with them. I had reviewed the Primeval demo because a lot of the stuff I reviewed in my fanzines is just stuff that I was getting through tape trading that I really liked. Because I was getting some stuff from bands and stuff, but most of the stuff is things that I bought or demos I got through tape trading. And I loved the first Primeval demo when I got it. So I gave it a really good review on my fanzine, not knowing anything about the band whatsoever. Mary, the bass player of Primeval, bought my fanzine because she bought every fanzine she saw, read the review, wrote me, and just started the friendship that lasted forever. Mary was one of my best friends back then, and I'm still really great friends with the rest of the guys in the band. So that was really cool.
Wow, right on, right on. So Joe was bringing up some funny stories that you guys had back in the day before, during Rage Records and everything like that, about some sort of skinhead thing that was going on in New Jersey.
Oh, the Club Benet show. Yeah, the Ripping Corpse. That was, the whole night was very tense because of a lot of shows in Jersey. The Ripping Corpse played, the Revenant played. There were a lot of punk bands and skin bands that played the nights also, or even if it was all metal bands, a lot of skinheads would go to the shows. It's like besides City Gardens, even like a lot of the smaller places. So there was always a lot of tension. That night, there was a hell of a lot more tension than usual. Little fights were breaking out outside before the show, during the show, and then like 3/4 of the way through the show, just a riot broke out in the middle of the fucking show. And this was a big like arena type, not arena, but like a huge hall with like seats going up. It was like a balcony type seating. It was angled, and it was all seats, and just fights broke out, and shit was flying all over the place. I just remember us all just tearing ass out of there, grabbing Revenant, having a breakdown real fast, so we all got out of there safely. But it was just really, really intense that night. There were a few nights at City Gardens and G Willikers that were just as bad. Shit broke out outside. There was always fights with skinheads. It's pretty rough in Jersey.
Oh my gosh. And especially then too, I mean, the skinheads were pretty full force at that time, unfortunately.
Yeah, they were. That's why. They didn't like us metalheads.
Well, they were just pissed because metal was heavier than what they were listening to.
Yeah, yeah.
which I have nothing against, you know, oi and skinhead stuff or whatever like that, right? I mean, absolutely nothing. I love all music. But, I mean, just their ideals, obviously, get a little annoying sometimes. So obviously, in this case. So, after Rage Records, like you said, you ended up just kind of, you know, doing family and just life and...
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. I kind of just took it easy for a while, got married, got a regular job. Go to shows once in a while, whenever Deceased came up and stuff like that, the bigger shows. And just started, you know, metal started coming back around, you know, thrash metal, I should say, really started coming around. The death metal was still big, black metal, but like thrash metal and power metal and speed metal started coming back around, and heavy metal. And I just dived back in, you know, by mid-late 90s again.
Right. Right. So was that getting into the promoting side of things then? Shows?
Not quite yet. I started doing booking shows. 2010 was my first show.
Oh shit!
First show was 2011. Actually, no, September 11th, 2010 was my first show, and that was with Deceased in Brooklyn.
Oh, right on, right on. So just during that whole time, you just kind of stood in the background and just, you know, let the scene do what it was doing?
Yeah, during like from like say 95, like mid-95 when I dissolved the label to like 98, 99. Pretty much just did family thing, hung out with friends locally, listen to music myself or whatever. Didn't really get involved or do anything. Kind of lost track with a lot of, the metal friends at that time. By 99, 2000, went out to a Milwaukee Metal Fest again, started meeting up with old friends again, started hanging out locally. Then I discovered Bellevue Bar in Manhattan, and that was Kindred Spirits, and they're all old metalheads. And it just started a downhill spiral from there, I guess you could say.
And that's the thing too, man. When you hang out with like-minded friends and whatever like that, and say, we're just getting together and we just start chatting metal, it just gets the goosebumps going, and it just gets your motors turning every time.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. And especially during New York at that time too. Like just the death metal scene in general was somewhat underground at that time, right? Like the 90s brought, an alternative, new metal, all that shit was all fucking blowing up, and metal was put aside because that was like dad music at the time kind of thing, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Totally. So the 90s, like you said, Milwaukee and all that, they started bringing in, like, the bands started getting more, like, just bringing brutal. Like, the Deeds of Flesh and all that kind of stuff was starting to fucking kick around at that time. So it was almost like it was fresh again.
Yeah, no, it was. And a lot of the old bands started coming back around, and they sounded great, like Venom, Exodus, Sodom. That's when I went back out to Milwaukee when Sodom did their first U.S. show ever. I was like, I have to see this. So brought my wife at the time, her sister's boyfriend, all went out to Milwaukee for a trip. And I was like, I'm seeing Sodom, the first U.S. show. And it was fucking great.
So, like you said, you reconnect, everybody's hanging out, everything's good again. What did you end up doing after that?
Ended up hanging out in the city a lot. Besides Bellevue Bar, which then became Duff's, hanging out at Three of Cups and other bars in the city, and getting to know the New York City crowd very well that I did get to know when I was married in the 90s. So I was getting to hang out and meet all the local bands and all the rock bands. And then started meeting up with people that were starting a new promotion company in the city, Wendigo Productions. And they asked me if I wanted to join the group. They were just starting the organization, just starting the business from the ground up. Going to have a Lower East Side store location, a little retail store, and going to primarily book New York City shows, rock shows, metal shows, punk shows, ska shows, burlesque shows, whatever.
Sweet.
And asked me if I wanted to join and, be one of the promoters. And I said, hell yeah. And they gave me carte blanche to book anything I wanted, as much as I wanted. So I booked every fucking metal show I could possibly book, as many shows as I could. Sometimes booking 2-3 shows a week. It was insane.
Wow.
6-10 shows a month. It was absolutely insane. But that was my full-time job, and I loved it. And I put Wendigo on the map doing that, and that put me on the map booking so many shows. So it worked out perfectly.
Wow, and especially during that time too. I mean, it's still the scene, still being underground, but the following was strong. Everybody that was involved at that time, loved the underground as much as the next person did, because
Yeah.
I mean everybody was still pissed at the alternative and the grunge and the new metal and everything, right? So all the underground guys kind of stuck together, and really I find it was a tight brotherhood and sisterhood at that time.
That absolutely was. It definitely. By the end of the '90s, the early 2000s, all this old metalheads, all on the ground, everyone that was still around, we'd all kind of drifted off. Myself and so many others. Some people stayed, deep in the scene, like mortician and inhalation, suffocation, and a lot of us others, just kind of drifted off, did our personal things, our family things, whatever. And we all got back in one way or another, whether it was, just Die Hard again or occasional, but it was just, you'd seen each other last, maybe 2 years ago, but it felt like last week. It was all the unity, all the brotherhood, full force, all over the place, and it was because we realized it really is a small world, and we're all here for basically, we're all lifers, so we're going to be with each other for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, literally, and
Yep.
and I
Yep.
and I feel the same way too. It's like I had the when I had the interview with Roy Fox from Necroharmonic or whatever.
Oh,
It's
he's a great guy.
oh man, like I've been in contact. Like I said, I've been in contact with him since like '92, tape trading and doing some shit also.
Yep.
But like it's just one of those things where you're just so diehard that even if you don't talk to the person for 10 years or whatever like that, it's gonna pick up like you'd never even separated at all.
Absolutely, it always does.
So you started doing all these shows with Wendigo at the time, and you said that you got back into the promoting game in like 2010 or whatever. So you did a bunch of shows and then you stopped again?
Yeah, well, what I did as far as getting back into 2010, I had done a handful of shows in like the late '80s. Actually, I booked when Malevolent Creation signed their contract at Roadrunner. They all flew up here, so I brought them down the road. This is before I was working there. I brought them to the Roadrunner office, had them sign the contracts, and they were up here for about 3-4 days. So I booked 2 shows out in Long Island with the newly formed Suffocation. So there was Malevolent Creation, Suffocation, played at Sundance in front of like 15 people, and then in February, so it was great. Booked a handful of other local shows here and there, nothing really too extravagant. And then the last show I booked, unfortunately I couldn't go to because it was in Chicago, but it was the newly reformed Propulsion with Deceased and Broken Hope out of Chicago. So that was the last show that I booked. And I guess that was '91. Until 2010 when I started booking at Wendigo.
Wow. And I think Joe Pupo again was sending me some pictures of some Niagara Falls. I don't know if you came to the Canada side, but you stayed on the New York side.
Yeah, no, we went to Canada side too.
Good for you.
Oh yeah, that was the trip with Jeremy. Jeremy from Broken Hope. It was me, Joe, Jeremy, probably Tom Bradner, and our friend Jeff Brown. I think it was the 5 of us. We went over to every time we went up to Buffalo, went to Niagara Falls. We had to go across to Canada because there was a fucking amazing record store there. So we
Pop
ended up going
Tones.
across.
It was called Pop
I think
Tones.
we were walking across this time. Jeremy did not have his ID. And I think he was like 17 or something like that. At that time, it was not a big deal going across the border. I used to drive across with a case of beer in my trunk.
Yep.
It wasn't a big deal. But we were walking across, and they were just busting his chops. Eventually, they let him go. But it was funny just watching him bust his chops. Poor little Jeremy. Like, we're going to lock you up now. We're going to lock you up. But they let him go.
And especially... And that was the thing too with crossing the border. It wasn't that big of a deal. You literally
back then it wasn't, not at all.
Yeah, you
So
literally
we walked across a couple times. I drove across a couple times. It was great. We always had to go to the record store.
Yeah, and that record store that you were talking about was called Pop Tones. correct?
Oh, was it? I don't remember what the hell it was called.
Yep, it was Pop Tones. It was on Queen Street because that was,
Nice.
and the guy who owned it was Frank, big guy, skinny guy with dreadlocks, right?
Oh, God, I don't remember, man.
Oh wow,
I
okay,
don't know.
right.
I just remember buying all kinds of records and T-shirts and posters there.
Yes, and Frank with Pop
Pop Tones,
Tones.
that does sound right, though. The name does sound familiar.
Yeah, Pop Tones was my gateway to a lot of crazy shit at that time too. In the like 1990, pretty much is when I found out about this store. And as soon as you walked in, it was like it was right on the corner of the street. As soon as you walked into the door, flags everywhere, incense.
Oh, God. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
It was
coming back now. Yep.
yeah. Oh, it was Frank, man, and he's still kicking around, totally too,
Oh,
man.
that's fucking great.
Yeah, I hang out with him all the time. He's a good dude.
Oh, very
And
cool.
and he brought up too that with Pop Tones in Niagara Falls, Canada, he brought like Black Flag. He brought Baphomet over. He brought all kinds of fucking cool bands. And
Very nice.
yeah, and by the time I actually knew what the scene was about, obviously all this shit already happened, and I was like, oh man, I missed it all already. But yeah, it was called Pop Tones at the time, man. And like you said, there's a lot of people that bring up this shop that was in Niagara Falls, and that's the place, man. Pop Tones. That's
Yeah, no, the name does sound familiar. That's cool, man. That was a great fucking store.
buddy. He had everything, man. He had
Yes,
everything.
did have everything.
Right on. I think Joe mentioned that you guys were hanging out with one of the dudes from Numbskull.
Oh, yeah, Tom Brandner. Yeah, he's a great friend of both of us.
Right on.
Yeah, he had a good friend with Jeremy because they would come out together. They came out here together a few times.
Numbskull was Chicago area.
Yep.
Ah, okay. See, he's putting it all
That was
together.
Yep, and that was a split 7-inch I did, Numbskull.
Right. Joe messaging me in the background all the time. He's like, "Oh man, stories, dude, stories." He mentioned the one about you guys in a hotel room with deceased.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was one hell of a night. The King wrote about it in the book, too.
Oh,
It was Washington, D.C. Ripping Corpse, Revenant, Deceased played the Barbecue Iguana. The club itself is another story. It was a club in the back of, like, you have to walk down like a 20-foot alley, very dark, into the alley, no lights whatsoever, not even into the club. The alley was littered with broken glass, files, condoms, needles, all kinds of shit. I'm serious. Then you go into this just boxed room, pretty much, a little triangular room with a stage about 8 foot high and 2 lights on the stage. I was the only lights in the whole fucking place. It was an absolutely amazing show. It was just brutal as hell. It's phenomenal. Just mind-blowing show. Then afterwards, we were hanging out down there. I went to go eat. Then we went to stay at a hotel. So I had a credit card. The only one with a credit card. I think, of course, Revenant took care of it themselves. They had another room. They were smart, safe. I think Scott and Brandon had their own room. They were also smart. But the rest of us, I stayed in my room. We drank. I don't know what the hell we were drinking. I don't know where we got beers. We bought beers. Loaded up the room. Played quarters. Got trashed. King went down to the 7-Eleven to get more beer. Comes running up with a case of beer that he stole. Cops come running up shortly after that. All the guys go running into the room. We went in. I think Joe was not part of the party, I don't think. And our friend Lisa was down there. She was not part of the party either. Then we crashed in their room, and cops came to all the rooms. I was the only one to get with the credit card, so I paid for the damages, paid for the beer. They kicked us all out of the hotel. Then we all went and crashed on Chris Mobamanog's floor. And I ended up getting an ulcer that weekend, too, I think.
well, especially with your name being all over the damages at the hotel.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you got into a couple other situations of that matter back then, also.
Yeah, there was some. I mean, there was one time we were driving back. Joe was there also. The guys in Apparition. I forget where the hell we were coming from, like Detroit Metal Fest or something, and the van broke down. In Ohio, Pennsylvania, or somewhere. I forget where the fuck it broke down. When it broke down, so we ended up having to get a hotel. All of us staying in like 1 or 2 hotel rooms. There's a few bizarre pictures floating around of Joe and Brett from Apparition in bed together.
So we're just going to leave the pictures to your own imagination.
Yeah. I'll have to find those.
Please do, man. That'd be awesome. So 2010, you get back in the game. Why?
Because they asked me. Honestly, at that time, I was going to shows, I was hanging out, I was reconnecting with all my friends and all. Not an internet person at all, still no Facebook or cell phone at the time. But still, like, being involved with the scene and music. And because I was hanging out in New York City so much, and getting to know all the people, and because I had done so much in the past and knew so many bands and things, they asked me if I'd be interested in promoting shows. Before they asked me, I hadn't thought about it really at that time, in years, about doing shows. I thought about doing a fanzine again, doing a record label again, but not booking shows. They asked me, and I was like, sure, I'll give it a try. And it clicked really well with me. I really did a good job on it. Worked very hard, hooked up with a lot of bands, and of course dove into the bands I knew. My friends' bands. The first show I booked was Deceased. Second show I did was Tyrant in October 31. Bands I knew, friends of mine. And I just went from there, booking Gunslaughter and Morbid Satan, Blood Feast, and all the bands I knew and were friends with, and then reaching out to bands that I was a fan of, bringing them over. And it worked out very well. And having from Wendigo behind me, it was a full-time job for me. And also, I did all this while working in the record store. We had a little retail store with T-shirts and records, and most of those records, again, I brought some of the stuff I had left over in my distro, put it in the store. Put it out there and sell it, and brought some of my bands I was dealing with. Yeah. And, I'll sell you T-shirts, I'll sell you CDs. So, we worked back and forth on that. So it worked out very well, and me working in the store, I was basically doing this 24/7, working there, working at home, and just constantly dealing with the bands. And like I said, booking so many shows, I really put Wendigo on the map and myself on the map, and just kept it going from there.
Fucking A, man. And now we're at, what is this, May 14th, 31st anniversary of Altars of Madness now, and and
wow, Jesus.
I know, honestly, right? Yeah, no, it blows my mind. I think it's Chuck's birthday also.
It is Chuck's birthday, so that, yeah.
Yeah. So, you had, like you said, you had a bunch of shows lined up, and I'm assuming more shows were in the process also.
Oh, there would have been. I mean, I was basically, I said I had Possessed and Massacre, and I purposely didn't book anything else this year because I wanted to concentrate on the fest.
Right.
Because the fest is super expensive and a ton of work. So I want to just concentrate on that this year. So that was purposeful. I did have things, kind of in the wings for afterwards. A couple bands I'd been talking to, things we were going to work out, and a couple for next year. Everything is just on hold right now.
Yeah.
Dudes, Possessed Pestilence really want to come over here and do these dates and do this tour.
Yep.
We're holding on to these dates. We're telling all the people it's going to be rescheduled, and eventually, hopefully, it will be. Massacre, once things go back to normal, will 100% be rescheduled. They're dying to come up here and do it. We're dying to do it. And the festival right now, I have it tentatively scheduled for next September. So all the bands that were scheduled for this year are down to do it next year. We just gotta wait.
Yeah. Oh my God, what a pisser! Because I was supposed to see Massacre at Quebec Death Fest, which was supposed to be coming up in September. Who knows what's going on with that? And then the Possessed Pestilence was coming to Toronto also during that, so I was supposed to fucking go to that too.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah,
so you want to keep doing shows. I mean, that's kind of what feels good right now.
I do. I'm not going to do it, nothing like I used to do it when ago. At this point, I'm happy doing a handful of shows a year. My festival, maybe every other year. Not going too crazy. These things are very expensive. And to be quite frank, shows, they don't have the turnouts they used to anyway, even before this Corona thing came up. People weren't going out to shows. I mean, I'd be putting on kick-ass shows in half-filled rooms, whereas, 5-10 years ago, it would have been packed.
Right.
And it should be packed. People are just staying home. It's the way it is, I know not everyone's into thrash these days or, the old school death metal. So it's harder and harder. But I'm going to keep doing it because I love doing it and it gives me a chance to bring these bands up that I'm friends with and fans with. I said I'm talking to more bands still, and once things get back to normal, I'm definitely going to keep doing it. I'm not doing a ton of shows, but I want to do a handful of shows, do them nice, and make sure the bands have a good time, and I have a good time. Whoever there's going to have a great time.
Exactly, and that's the thing too. When I go through my promoting phases, I try to not do a ton of shows, but the shows that I do, you focus on extremely, and you promote the shit out of it, and just make sure that those are the shows.
Absolutely, yep, that's the way to do it.
Yep, no, totally, and like you said too. I mean, everybody is kind of, I wouldn't say getting bored, of being, going to thrash shows and death metal shows and everything like that, but you're gonna do it anyways because I just want to hang out with my friends and have a good fucking time.
Exactly. That's the bottom line.
That's literally the bottom line, man. And even if I did lose on shows, which I have on many occasions,
yes.
The people that were there, though, were the ones that just you would have that awesome experience with, and you got, between you and the 20 or 30 other people that would be at these shows, it didn't matter because you knew they were there because they wanted to fucking see these bands.
Yep. Well, if the band is happy, I'm happy. If the people that are there are happy, I'm happy.
Totally, man. Fucking A. So what else is there in the future for Ed? Is it just going to be, you're just going to kind of stick with shows and that's how it's going to be? Or you don't know?
Yeah, for now, I'm not planning on doing anything else. Some talk about doing a little of this, doing a little of that, but nothing major.
Yep.
Maybe delving into some old school stuff. But for the most part, just doing shows. I mean, I'm happy with this. I have a full-time job I work very hard at, and when I'm not working, I just want to sit on my bed, fucking listen to you. So I'm not killing myself.
Yep.
Not looking to do a whole lot of things here. I've done enough. Just want to enjoy myself and look forward to doing the shows. Like I said, bringing bands I like, things I can look forward to personally.
No, totally. And same thing too. And like you said, you got a full-time job and we're just older, our kids are older and everything like that. So we do have a little more time on our hands. I mean, personally, my kids are 20 and 14, so they can kind of handle themselves. But still, at this age, when you get out of your job, you kind of want to just not do anything.
I don't. I don't have any kids, never did.
Oh.
God bless.
All right.
But it's me and I'm a selfish bastard. I just come home and do my shit. I'm very happy with it.
Right on, man. Thank you very much, man. It's been a fucking awesome interview. You have anything else to say to all your fans?
My fans. All right. Dude, thank you very much, man. This was an honor, man. I'm really humbled you asked me to do this. I appreciate it. I love seeing the stuff you're doing. I love seeing the music, the bands, and I appreciate you talking to me, man. This is cool.
Fucking A, man.
Out there, enjoyed it.
Oh, buddy. Oh, for sure, man. I had so many people messaging me going, oh, man, I'm so glad you got Ed on there, man. That guy has been around forever, and he knows his shit and all this stuff. And, I mean, like I mentioned yesterday on the show, if we want to call this a show, but I want to delve into, the parts of the scene that pretty much are untouched to the mass media, I guess social media and whatever everybody else, Decibel and all this stuff, talks about all the time. Everybody knows about Deicide, Morbid Angel, Cannibal, blah, blah, blah. But what happened in the background while all that shit was, in motion, who were the guys in the background doing the stuff? Who were the ladies in the background doing the stuff? The zines, the record labels in the background and all that kind of shit. Those are the stories that need to be uncovered. And I don't know how many countless times that I heard your name pop up about Ed, talk to Ed. Talk to Ed about that. Ed did that. I know this Ed guy in New York. He was there in the fucking the 80s, and he did this and that. So I'm glad that Facebook and social media connected us to this degree, and now that we have this platform to hang out and to actually talk and sit down with you, it's an honor to me, man.
This is very cool. You popped my cherry. This is my first time doing anything like this. This is cool.
Yeah, right on. All right. Thank you very much, Ed. And I'm going to be, well, hopefully once this shit, settles down and the borders open, we are planning on coming back to New York to sit down with a few people for the documentary. So I better be able to get a hold of you and we can have a beer or something like that.
Absolutely. It'll be an honor.
Pleasures. Oh, thank you very much, man. This is awesome. That's why we do this, man, because this kind of shit just gives me the goosebumps and gives us reason to, stay underground, I guess you want to say.
Absolutely.
Awesome, man. Thank you very much, bro.
Thank you very much, man. Have a great night.
Kick ass. You too, man. Take it easy. Oh, that's killer. That's killer. Oh, my God. See, and that's the thing, too, man. Like, I keep bringing it up all the time. It's these fun little stories in the background that people are missing. It's, the Joe Pupo, Ed Farsty stuff. Like Rage Records, man. People have heard, people know of Rage Records and all that kind of stuff, but who were the people behind this shit? Bam! There you go. It's this guy. He's fucking working for Roadrunner back in the 90s when the death metal boom was blowing up and handing out to all the record stores and zines and publications and stuff, getting those bands out there at that time. I'm pretty sure that I had to deal with Ed myself with my zine also, and I know countless others who are watching who dealt with, fanzines, tape trading, and all that kind of shit back in the day when Roadrunner was, at its prime then. Obviously, Ed was the guy that we were talking to in the background. That's fucking cool as shit. See, I didn't even know that. I love it, man, because, and I always say it, too. I don't know everything. I don't boast that I do know everything. I don't. I'm pretty lost myself, right? But from what I know, obviously, we got together to be able to chat with him because I know somebody, at least somebody, and that's fucking cool, man. I love to hear these stories because I'm getting taught all this shit myself. This is great. This is fucking great, man. Oh man, I get a little tear to my eye, I guess you want to say. Good old water. Good times. So, tomorrow, Peter with Vader, we are going to be doing that one at 4:30 just because of the time difference. So, yeah, if you want to join in tomorrow, that's going to be, again, last one of the week. It's going to be fun. And if anybody out there has any Vader questions, then, send them on over. Go to our Growl Facebook page. Send us a message. Do you guys have any questions? Because I'm going to be honest, I'm not the biggest Vader fan. I remember when I first picked up the Ultimate Incantation on Earache, and I liked that album, but it wasn't the album that that made me follow. I did see them back in the day. I don't know if we can see that or anything. Spilling the water. Did see them. That was the Whisper Supremacy tour with Gorguts, Cryptopsy, and Divine Empire. So, I mean, obviously I know who Vader are and the albums that they've put out and everything like that, but Vader wasn't my band. So, I don't know a shit ton about Vader. We did go see them again just recently on their last tour. They were in Toronto. We were supposed to sit down with them, but, being on tour is usually the worst time to sit down with bands to interview because they're just fucking busy. Too much shit going on, yada, yada, yada. So, like I said, if you guys got any cool questions, any in-depth, rumors or whatever like that, just send some messages to the Growl, and let's see what kind of questions we got. I'll write them all down, and let's chat with him tomorrow. So, thank you very much, everybody. My mouth's getting dry. And let's fucking do this tomorrow, all right?